In episode 4 of If Books Could Talk, we took a look at this single leaf of a medieval manuscript with the smallest writing we'd ever seen. One of the clues we noticed in that episode was this page number, 3000, which meant 2,999 other leaves are out there somewhere. So for episode 5, we wanted to take a look at another single leaf and ask it, what can you tell us about where your other leaves are? So Heather, what can you tell us about this leaf?
Well, we've got another leaf from a medieval music manuscript, and there is no page number on it. But we know it belongs to a larger manuscript because at the beginning it starts in the middle of a chant, and over here at the end, this is not a final, this is indicating something else following, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a medieval music manuscript, and I'm just wondering if we might draw upon our network and ask Michele Aichele if she would like to join us.
That's a great idea. Michele helped us out in episode 3, so let's give her a call.
Let's do it.
Hi, Michele!
Hi, Colleen. Hi, Heather.
So, Michele, have you got the digital manuscript leaf in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Great.
Well, Heather and Michele, Heather, on this manuscript, can you see any clues that might tell us something about where other leaves of this manuscript might be?
I think one of the most important clues is going to be what is on here. What does it say? Which chants are being sung? What does it represent? Michele, can you help us out on that?
Yes, for me, when I look at this manuscript, the first thing I notice is all of the names on both the recto and the verso in red, the Jacob, the Matthew, the Simon, and the Judas, which are in red and they don't have any music notated over the top of them.
Right, right.
Yeah. So it looks like, to me, like those might be indications of speakers, and it looks like those are the four of the apostles from the Bible.
Absolutely.
I can read that. I can read that.
And what about anything about the musical notation that'll help us identify the chant?
Notation-wise, it's monophonic, so there's only one musical line being sung at the time. Most of the text is syllabic, which means that there's only one pitch sung per syllable. But on the other side, on the verso, you can see, especially around the Alleluia, that there are a lot of notes sung per syllable.
Okay, so I'm hoping the content, once we identify this chant, with a little bit of research, it'll help us understand what it is and where it might have sat within that larger context of the manuscript.
So if we want to find the rest of the leaves of this manuscript, we're going to need to know about the physical characteristics of this leaf.
Exactly.
So what can we tell from looking at this one?
Let's start with the size. If we look at this, we can see that it's 195 centimeters by 125 centimeters, right? But what's really interesting, and it'll help us even more, is if we can look at the size of the writing as well.
Right.
Okay?
Since the outside could be trimmed on different leaves and could be slightly different sizes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we've got extent here of about 135 or so with about 85. So we're going to note that down, and if we go looking for other leaves, we're going to match that up with the other leaves.
Great.
Okay? The other thing that I think would be really important would be the notation itself. Does this notation, Michele, have anything in particular that we need to look out for?
Definitely we should look out for the 4-line staff in the red ink.
Okay.
We should also notice that in comparison to our manuscript in episode 3, the notation is still square, but it's a little bit curvier than what we had on that manuscript. So as we look for these other leaves, we need to look and see if there's the same curvature to the individual notes as on this one.
Right.
Okay.
And in addition to that, we'll be wanting to match script.
Right.
Exactly.
Are there any other clues that this manuscript is telling us?
Yes, Colleen, there's a really important one here in the margin, and I love this clue. It's the word cantrix. Cantrix in English means female cantor.
Female.
Female. Michele, can you tell us what a cantor's job was, or what a cantor did?
Yes. So cantor essentially means singer. So this would have been specific for a female singer. And in a lot of medieval religious houses, the cantrix or the cantor, but in our case cantrix, would lead choir rehearsals and lead musical performances, and she would teach music to the other people at the religious house.
Very cool.
Jinx.
I am super excited to get the research underway on this. We're going to look at the content, see if we can identify it. We're going to look for other leaves with similar physical characteristics, and we're going to see if this cantrix might lead us to where the manuscript came from.
Great. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Wait! I think somebody's already done some research on this.
What do you mean, Michele?
I believe a colleague of mine, Alison Altstatt, assistant professor of musicology at the University of Northern Iowa, has already looked at this leaf and could tell us a whole lot more.
This is one of the best tools for doing research, Colleen, using our scholarly network.
Well, fantastic. Then let's talk to Alison. Hi. Everyone please welcome Dr. Alison Altstatt.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited about this leaf.
Can you build on what Michele was telling us about this manuscript? What other things is it telling you?
So on the recto side of the leaf, you'll see the text that starts there, Erit Finis, and the text here is from the Nicene Creed or Credo that is usually recited within the context of the Mass. But here the rubrics tell us something different. You'll see in red there, starting from the first line, the names Jacobus, and then Matthäus, and Simon, and Judas. And these are the names of the 12 apostles. If we turn the leaf then, you'll see that the Credo finishes there on the first line there with the Amen. And if we can turn back then, what I think these are performance indications. So for each phrase of the Creed, someone is singing the part of an apostle. And this goes back to the medieval legend of the creation of the Creed, in which each one of the 12 apostles generated one of the 12 phrases of the Creed.
Oh,
Fantastic. That's amazing.
And so I think this is an early version of what is known as a Creed play, which is a dramatic representation of the creation of the Creed that we know only from much later vernacular English sources. So this is quite exciting to find this in Latin.
So it's not from a
Absolutely.
Mass. It's more like
No.
from a play.
No, or some kind of dramatic representation.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so what
Yeah,
about these
yeah.
rubrics on the back? Do they tell us anything more?
Oh, they sure do. The first one says sacerdos.
Yes.
So first the priest.
Yes.
Dicat.
Uh-huh.
Let the priest say or
right.
recite or
Uh-huh.
chant.
Uh-huh.
R,
Uh-huh.
which stands for responsorium,
Of course.
which
yes.
is the type of piece that follows.
Yes.
And this, you can see a big capital I in the left-hand margin,
Yeah.
is ite in orbem universum.
Uh-huh.
And this text is taken from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16. And this is Jesus' command to the apostles to disperse in the 12 directions to preach the gospel throughout the world. And
These
this,
apostles here that we're
That's
singing
right.
this part.
That
right.
each had one line,
Yeah.
and then they dispersed from there to tell the story. That's
Exactly.
so cool.
I know.
And this is an office responsory
Mhm.
that is usually assigned to the Feast of the Ascension or to Pentecost.
Okay. Great. That's amazing. What about this very last rubric? It's just at the end of the page. What comes after?
This one says, Deender egredietur processio ante. And that means then the procession sets off. Ante means before, so before somewhere probably. We don't know where.
Before, and the clue is on the next
The
leaf.
clue is on the next leaf,
Oh
which
my
we don't
gosh,
have.
that is so cool.
To be continued. So Special Collections has this identified as a gradual. And what I'm hearing is that this is not a gradual.
That's right, Colleen. I think it's much more likely to be a processional, which is a small handheld book that contain the music for the processional liturgies of the community. And I say this based on its content, but also on its small dimensions.
So which other physical characteristics have you used to match it with the other leaves?
Well, first of all, the folio contains 9 staves written in red, and the notation is consistent with 14th century English hands. In particular, this pronounced right hand slant here, the rising 2-pitch figure over the word ect. And if we turn the page, you'll notice that from the second stave onward, there's the use of a B-flat clef.
Oh.
And that is also typical English 13th, 14th century. Another clue is that the cautionary symbol called a kustos that usually would appear at the ends of the lines to indicate to the singer what the next pitch is, the first pitch of the following line.
Right.
Those are absent,
Oh.
which tells me that
Yeah.
it's if it's 14th century, then it's probably from the first half of the 14th century.
Oh, all right.
How cool is that? So where are the other leaves?
So when Michele first showed me this leaf, it reminded me very, very much of one that I had seen at the Lilly Library at Indiana University. And indeed, when I compared the 2 leaves, they were consistent in the number of staves, the notational hand, and the script. That leaf also contains processional chants of English origin. From there, I learned that the Lilly leaf is held in a portfolio of medieval leaves that was assembled by Otto F. Agee, a famous manuscript dealer from the middle of the 20th century. That portfolio is called 50 Leaves from Medieval Manuscripts, 12th through 16th century. Then from there, I was able to access a database of leaves at Denison University, where I learned that 50 copies total of this portfolio were sold. 30 of those leaves have been traced. So with the help of the Denison University website and the expertise and assistance of Scott Guara of the University of South Carolina and Christopher de Hamel of Cambridge University in England, we've been able to assemble 34 leaves of the original manuscript.
Amazing.
That's incredible. That's really great news.
So for me, Alison, what was so exciting about this leaf when I first saw it was the word cantrix, because I knew it was in the feminine version of the word cantor, and I work with medieval women. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. How is that word important for your work?
Well, Heather, it's absolutely crucial because it helps us discover the provenance of the manuscript. This word cantrix added to the manuscript shows us that the manuscript, if not made for a women's house, it was at least received and used by a women's house. And it shows us presumably that a woman from the community and not the priest would intone this particular piece.
That's so great.
So additionally, other original rubrics, not marginal amendments, but original rubrics in the other leaves,
Very cool.
referring to cantrices and sorores, which means sisters, confirm that this manuscript was made for a women's house. Then the question is, which women's
Which
house?
one?
Right, which one?
A leaf owned by the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County has a litany of the saints. And the litany of the saints can be very important because it helps us identify local patrons that might be associated with a particular house.
Right.
So that leaf refers to Saints Edith and Saint Iwi. And both of those saints are patrons of Wilton Abbey that held primary relics of both saints.
Oh, so because those particular saints were really important for that particular abbey, that's how you could put those two together from looking at that list.
So I thought
Okay.
this is most likely a processional from the Women's Benedictine House of Wilton Abbey. Wilton Abbey was a 9th century Anglo-Saxon foundation, and it was famous not only for its wealth, but for the learning of its nuns.
Was this manuscript ever documented before?
Actually, Colleen, it was. It was known in the 19th century, and around 1859, 1860, it was copied. The entire manuscript was copied at the Abbey of Salem, which was central in the Gregorian chant revival of the 19th century. After that, it disappeared.
Oh. And now we have one leaf.
Now we have not only one leaf, but 34 leaves.
34.
So about 20% of the original book.
Okay.
And we know that it was broken by Otto Egge in about 1948 and sold. And there are leaves distributed throughout public and private collections in North America and beyond.
So Alison, you have refound the Wilton Processional.
Yes, that's right. And I was in the right place at the right time. And it all started with the Iowa leaf that was able to tell us so much.
That's just incredible. Throughout episodes of If Books Could Talk, we've been taking a look at single leaves. And there are so many new digitized copies out there from all of the institutions around the world of single leaves. Take a look at yours and see if you can find some more leaves from this manuscript or from others. There's a huge opportunity, and it's up to us to find them.